Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode number 269 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. And pretty simple, today's episode is going to be a little bit of a draft recap, some trades, signings, because free agency happened back on July 1st. All right, let's do a quick draft recap while we're at it. So, first overall, to no surprise, Gavin McKenna went to the Toronto Maple Leafs. At number 2, the San Jose Sharks took Ivan Stenberg with the second overall pick. The third overall pick, the Vancouver Canucks selected center Caleb Melanharda. Fourth overall, the Buffalo Sabres selected Daxon Rudolph, which that's going to be an interesting pick. At number 5, the New York Rangers took Albert Smits. At number 6, the Calgary Flames took Carson Karels, a defenseman. Then defenseman Chase Reed was taken number 7 by the Seattle Kraken. Center Vigo Borchak taken at number 8. At number 9, officially part of the Florida or Ottawa, part of that trade that we're going to get to later involving William Eklund of San Jose Sharks. Number 9, they took Keaton Bershoff. At number 10, Nashville took left wing Wyatt Cullen. All right, so let's get to the trades. First off, we have the New Jersey Devils trading defenseman Simon Nevich and forward Maxim Teplasov to the New Jersey Devils for 2 first-round picks and the 35th overall pick, which was in this year's draft, and prospect Anthony Morin. So Simon Nemec had 11 goals for 26 points with the New Jersey Devils, and I think he's going to play a really big part of Calgary's future, and he's actually a pretty solid, good addition to Calgary's blue line. Now, as for Morin, I think he'll do well with New Jersey, and hopefully he can pan on the NHL. Now, as for Maxim Teplasov, don't know too much about him other than I just know I hope he will do well with the Calgary Flames. Next up, so San Jose Sharks, who got the 9th overall pick. In exchange, San Jose traded forward William Eklund along with Kasper Holtonen and Brendan Staboa. So Holtonen and Staboa are honestly going to be prospects now in Ottawa's system, and I think they could both pan out and still believe that they'll be able to crack a lineup for Ottawa's future. But as for Ottawa, getting William Eklund, this is basically Brady Tkachuk's replacement because they obviously traded him to the Florida Panthers. So seeing him, who's actually been a really solid player the past 2 seasons, I think he's actually going to thrive in well with Ottawa. I think he actually fits really well in their system. I actually like this trade a lot. Now, as for the next one, Jordan Kyrou is being traded to the Washington Capitals for Connor McMichael and the 16th overall pick in 2026, along with Milton Graslin. So Graslin, the Blues are actually doing this right. They're getting a lot younger, and trading Kyrou was the right step in the right direction. So adding a guy like Connor McMichael, a young forward, who could actually be part of St. Louis's long term, and he could be a really good, solid 20, 25, 30 goal, 50, 60 plus point guy. So I like this from St. Louis's point. Now for Kyrou with the Capitals, I think Kyrou's actually going to thrive in really well. Last season was obviously the worst season of Jordan Kyrou's entire career. He only had 18 goals and 46 points through 17 games. So I think getting a new change, new scenery will really play a part, and especially with Alex Ovechkin, who did re-sign with the Capitals as well. So I like this a lot for Jordan Kyrou. Now let's go to one involving Chicago. Chicago Blackhawks acquired Bowen Byram from the Buffalo Sabres along with Jordan Greenway in exchange for Louis Crevier, obviously the 4th overall pick, which Buffalo took with Daxon Rudolph. So that's going to be interesting to watch. And along with the 45th overall pick. And then Louis Crevier, big, solid. So Louis Crevier is a huge defenseman. He's big, throws physicality. This past season, Louis Crevier actually was the best offensive player among Blackhawks defensemen this past season. So it's kind of sad to see him go. But for Bowen Byram, this is what I don't get. I mean, is Kyle Davidson even okay? because with Byram, what I don't understand is this. Yes, Byram is 25. He is not a bad player. But Kyle Davidson is taking a humongous gamble. And for Byram to be the number one defenseman, I'm concerned how that's going to turn out. And not only that, Kyle Davidson massively overpaid Byram on a 6-year, $12.5 million deal. Now, for context, $12.5 million, that's the same amount of money Connor McDavid is being paid. So he's paying Byram like he thinks he's Connor McDavid, but on defense. And Jordan Greenway, I mean, okay, bottom 9, physical guy, not too much to say. But for mainly Byram, I like the player. The contract scares me. I hope Kyle Davidson knows what he's doing because, man, that's a massive overpay right there. Now, another trade. The Washington Capitals have also acquired Alex Tuch from the Buffalo Sabres for a 2027 third-round pick. In addition to that, Alex Tuch is going to get an 8-year extension worth $10.5 million annually per season. Alex Tuch, ever since being traded to Buffalo from Vegas for Jack Eichel, Tuch was easily one of their best players, and this season was a big season. 33 goals, 66 points through 79 games this past season, and honestly, I like this a lot for the Washington Capitals and the Buffalo Sabres, and I thought the Sabres did a good job in terms of, getting assessed for Alex Tuch, because it would have been better if the Sabres got value return instead of letting him walk for basically nothing. Now, for another trade we're going to talk about, Samuel Ersson is going to the Ottawa Senators from the Toronto Maple Leafs in exchange for a 5th overall pick. I mean, Ersson did not had a good season, and apparently he's going to be the backup duo to Linus Ullmark. I mean, we'll see how he does, but goaltenders are always very streaky in terms of, and they do take a bit longer to develop. So I'm hoping he'll do well, but we'll see. Next up, Valery Nichushkin is getting traded from the Colorado Avalanche to the Columbus Blue Jackets for, obviously, the 43rd overall pick in 2026, 2027 third round, 2028 fifth round. And this, I mean, the Avalanche really needed cap space. They clearly did not have a lot prior to free agency. So trading Nichushkin, obviously, yeah, he was a big part of their 2022 Stanley Cup run, but honestly, Nichushkin, I think, is an okay player. He could bring in physicality, but offensively did not have a good year. So new change, new scenery, and for Columbus, I hope Nichushkin will bring in a solid leadership into Columbus, and I actually think he'll do fine. And the next one, Hendrix Lapierre is getting traded from the Washington Capitals to the Pittsburgh Penguins for 2027 third round, 2028 fifth round. Good solid move. Lapierre, young forward, and I think he could work really well in Pittsburgh's system compared to Washington, where he wasn't getting enough time. And Washington is also getting value in return in terms of trade picks, so I can't quite exactly complain. Next up, the Buffalo Sabres have acquired Owen Zellweger from the Anaheim Ducks for the 45th overall pick at Anton Wahlberg. So Wahlberg, he's a prospect and will be a good one for Anaheim. And we're going to get to the Ducks later because it's been quite interesting to say the least. Now, as for Owen Zellweger, I'm starting to like this move a lot, seeing him in a Buffalo Sabres uniform and being in the top 4 in their blue line. I think this is going to work out really well for the Buffalo Sabres. Next up, the Chicago Blackhawks have traded Andrei Burakovsky to the Ottawa Senators for a 2027 6th overall pick. The Blackhawks, they really wanted to get value back or else they were going to buy him out, and looks like Ottawa was willing to take it. So for the Hawks, fairly nice work there for Kyle Davidson. Now, as for Ottawa, not going to lie, kind of not a fan of this move. Burakovsky had a solid first year, but ice cold in the second year. I don't know how he's going to fit well in Ottawa. I don't understand their thought process, so not a huge fan of this one. Next up, JJ Peterka has been traded from Utah to the Boston Bruins for a 2026, the 22nd overall pick, obviously, and then the 2028 first round pick. So Utah, wanted some value back, and Paterka was okay, but Boston wanted a defenseman or a tough forward, and Paterka is actually going to do really. I think he'll do really well in Boston. I think he fits in really well with their system. He had 25 goals and 47 points through 82 games, so I'm really excited to see how he'll actually do under Boston's system. Next up, the Las Vegas Golden Knights have traded Pavel Doriev to the New York Rangers. In exchange, Vegas is going to get the 26th overall pick and a conditional 28th first-round pick and a 2026 third-round pick. Now, Dorofeyev had 37 goals and 64 points this past season and did play part of Vegas' cup run before losing to the Carolina Hurricanes. And in addition, they signed to a 7 years, $11 million AAV. And this is honestly crazy. And I don't understand the Rangers' thought process either, because last season they put out, hey, we're going to rebuild or retool. And then all of a sudden they go get Dorofeyev and pay him like crazy. Okay, the Mason McTavish Anaheim Ducks stint is over. They trade him to the St. Louis Blues in exchange for the 29th and 15th round pick. Obviously, that St. Louis got. And, nice, fair work. It stinks to see him leave because McTavish looked like he was going to pan in well, but he really struggled even after going after the contract dispute that had him earlier with Anaheim. McTavish had 17 goals and 41 points, so not really a good year. So this is like another new change, new scenery. The Utah Mammoth have acquired goaltender Sebastian Cossa from the Detroit Red Wings. Obviously, they had the second-round pick in return, or the first round, but it was a 23rd overall pick. Cossa kind of struggled in the AHL. He did end up finishing with a .915 save percentage this season through 39 games this past season, 233 goals against. Honestly, Detroit's goaltending depth is going to be very interesting, but Cossa will be a very nice addition to Utah. Next up, the Toronto Maple Leafs have traded Brendan Carlo, defenseman, to the St. Louis Blues in exchange for a 73rd overall pick and 76, the third rounds to 2026. For St. Louis, Carlo's going to work out really well in their right side of the defense. And, he only had 7 points through 55 games. And he was actually originally acquired to the Leafs from the Boston Bruins. And it's safe to say that trade did not work out. Carlo just did not fit well in their system. And St. Louis, I think he's going to fit really well in their medium 4, bottom 6 defense line. Next up, Brendan Gallagher is no longer part of the Montreal Canadiens as they trade him to the Vancouver Canucks along with 50% salary retained. Vancouver's going to retain 50% of it for future considerations. Man, that stinks because Brendan Gallagher was always a fan favorite. So yes, it stinks to see him leave from the Montreal Canadiens, and I think he's going to do a fine job leading this young Canucks team in the middle of their rebuild. And as for Montreal, had a really good second past season in a row. And honestly, I think Gallagher will do fine. But hey, if he does well, they can always trade him at the trade deadline. All right, next up, we are actually now going to go into some of these signings, and let's do that. Actually, one more trade. The Florida Panthers have reunited with Jacob Markstrom. They've acquired him and Angus Cruikshank from the New Jersey Devils for Evan Rodriguez, Jesper Boqvist, and Ben Steens. Honestly, Markstrom, his extension is about to kick in, and not really a good one either, as Markstrom absolutely struggled to stay healthy. Had a 307 goals against and an 883 save percentage. So hoping he could pan out and stay healthy with Florida. And they did go back-to-back back in 2025 and 24. So it shouldn't really be a shocker if he does well. But for New Jersey, I like this return. I think Ben Steves, hopefully he could pan out well in their system. Jesper Boqvist and Evan Rodriguez both did okay and actually really solid for Florida, as Rodriguez had 31 points in 69 games. Boqvist only had 13. So both are going to get a new change, new scenery, but I think in their overall forward core lineup, I think Boqvist and Rodriguez will do pretty solid for the most part. All right, let's start the free agency. St. Louis Blues have signed Jonathan Berggren to a 1-year, $2 million AAV. Honestly, before he got traded to St. Louis from Detroit, Berggren really struggled. And honestly, 16 points in 36 games. I like this signing for St. Louis. I hope he can do well. Next up, Sebastian Cossa signs a 2-year, $2 million AAV with the Utah Mammoth. I'm interested to see how this is going to pan out because I think there's a chance Cossa could potentially be their number one starting goaltender in return. So we should see how that works. Next up, Bobby Brink signs a 1-year, $2.75 million AAV with the Minnesota Wild. Bobby Brink had a solid year, 30 points, 15 goals in 68 games played this past season, and that was a huge physical presence to this Minnesota Wild team. So in the end, this is a good signing, and plus it would have really stunk to lose him in free agency. All right, next up, AJ Greer signs a 4-year, $4.25 million AAV with the Anaheim Ducks after being traded from the Florida Panthers for Radko Gudas, which is funny enough. Now, Greer has played a huge part in Florida's Cup runs and getting an extension with Anaheim. I'm actually excited to see him play in Anaheim because I think he's going to do so well. I think he's going to kill out penalties, give really solid puck moving, and shoot the puck a lot. And I think he's going to do well with Anaheim. So I'm actually pretty excited to see. Next up, Jeremy Lauzon signs a 6-year, $4 million AAV with the Vegas Golden Knights. It was an okay. Yeah, he was fine, but in the end, I think he'll do really well. Next up, Nick Cousins signs a 2-year, $1.58 million deal AAV with the Ottawa Senators. Nick Cousins actually provides really good physicality, does a lot of good offense, and honestly, he'll do fine. E2 Lesterainen signs an 8-year extension, $5 million AAV. Now, he's also been another key part during Florida's Cup runs, and Lesterainen, fantastic player. And I like this extension, and this could low-key be one of the most underrated ones ever. Okay, so Radko Gudas is now a Florida Panther, as I mentioned earlier in the episode. Well, this is funny. He signs a 6-year deal, but get this, $1.5 million AAV. He did the Brad Marchand treatment, extend the year length, but take a low amount of money and get away with it. And honestly, Radko Gudas still brings physicality and has one of the hardest shots in the NHL. And I actually think he'll do well with Florida. I think he'll fit in well with their system. Nico Hischier is not going anywhere. The trade rumors could stop for now because he's going to extend with New Jersey on a 5-year, $11.7 million AAV. Very good signing. I like this signing a lot. I think Hischier is a very good, solid forward, both offensively and defensively. So I like this a lot. Next up, Rasmus Andersson signs a 7-year, $8.5 million AAV. Not a huge fan of this one. Rasmus Andersson, even when he got acquired from the Calgary Flames to the Vegas Golden Knights and played a part of their Cup run this past season, he was not good. Almost he was not a liability at all. So, humongous overpay from Vegas. I don't understand the process behind this. Now, we talked about Owen Zellweger earlier. Well, he did sign an extension with Buffalo. 3 years at $3.1 million AAV. I talked about him earlier, and in the end, I think this is a huge steal of a contract with Buffalo. Well done, Buffalo. Very nice job. All right, next up, Dan Vladar signs a 5-year, $5.5 million AAV with the Philadelphia Flyers. Don't exactly know how to feel about this one because Vladar, yeah, he had a good Cup run, but that was the only good season he's had so far. The other seasons, he's been a mediocre backup goaltender. Would have liked to have seen more. We're going to see how it looks 2 to 3 years from now, but I don't like this one. Now, this could also potentially be another steal of the offseason. Ivan Davidov signs an 8-year, $9.125 million AAV with the Montreal Canadiens. Now, it's not going to kick in until next season, and Davidov took another big step this season. He is one of the young, exciting players in the NHL, and I think he's going to do really well. Montreal, well done. Very good contract steal. Next up, the Los Angeles Kings were a bit busy today. Or not today, but during free agency. They signed Eric Haula to a 2-year, $3.6 million AAV. Halla's a fine forward, good defensively, solid offensively, so I really don't have any problem with that. Speaking of, they also signed Max Zuccarello on a 1-year, $1 million AAV. I've always said this for years. 1-year contracts are the least consequential in sports, and the Kings did well here. Max Zuccarello, offensively, can still stride, be a solid player, and he still has the speed. So, honestly, very good work by the Los Angeles Kings. Next up, Jaden Schwartz signs a 3-year, $3.25 million AAV with the Colorado Avalanche. This is interesting. Jaden Schwartz is a solid player. I think he's a fine offensively player and fine defensively. While he has gotten a little bit older, but he has also been hurt for a lot of his tenures with St. Louis and Seattle. Kind of a risky gamble by Colorado, but overall not bad. Cole Smith does sign with Chicago on a 3-year, $3 million AAV. Smith is a good penalty killer, good bottom six, but almost brings next to nothing offensively, so I hope Kyle Davidson knows what he's doing. Speaking of Sam Harrison, who we talked about earlier, does sign a 2-year, $2.2 million AAV with the Ottawa Senators. Fine. We'll just see how he pans out. I mean, in the end of the day, he's not really a great goaltender. All right. For the second straight year in a row, the Los Angeles Kings are going to sign Corey Perry on a 1-year, $1 million AAV. I mean, this is fine. Fine move. Perry still has a lot left in the tank, and I think we'll see how the Kings do this season. Obviously, not the Kopitar replacement, but I think Perry will work out fine. Chicago Blackhawks do sign Ian Cole to a 1-year, $4 million AAV. I'm fine with that. Cole's a really solid defensive defenseman. He's okay offensively. So, in the end, I think they'll actually do okay in the Blackhawks system. Ryan Lomberg gets a 2-year, $1.3 million AAV with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Fine player. We'll see how he does. Tyson Forster is going to stay in Philadelphia on an 8-year, $7.1 million AAV. Forster, one of their young bright spots in Philadelphia's team, and extending him long-term is actually a good move for Philadelphia. Next up, Jack Roslovic signs a 2-year, $4 million AAV with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Another one that could actually be a steal. Roslovic has shown potential to become a bit of a star forward. Not superstar category-wise, but I think the potential's still there. And this is an underrated deal by the Maple Leafs. Ilya Mikheyev signs a 4-year, $3.85 million deal AAV with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Mikheyev was solid in his last 2 seasons with Chicago. Very good penalty killer, pretty fast skater, but can also still show some offensive strides. Scored 20 goals in his first season with Chicago, scored 18 this past season. So not a bad deal. Next up, we have Stuart Skinner signing a 2-year, $3.75 million deal AAV with the Winnipeg Jets. Skinner has struggled this season with the Oilers and the Penguins. Can he do well in Winnipeg? We'll just have to wait and see. Victor Arvidsson signs a 2-year, $5 million AAV with the Detroit Red Wings. And this is actually a good play. This is a good signing because Arvidsson is a good player and had a nice bounce-back season with the Boston Bruins. So I like this signing a lot for Detroit. Noel Acciari signs a 2-year, $2.8 million AAV with the Philadelphia Flyers. Gonna be interesting to see how he pans out, because Acciari showed that he could be a really solid top 9 forward. And with the stint in Philadelphia, it's gonna be interesting. Next up, Ross Johnson signs a 3-year, $2 million AAV with the St. Louis Blues. Johnson was fine during his tenure with the Ducks, but in the end, we'll see how he does in St. Louis, because I think he'll actually bring him a good physicality. Noel Juulsen, I apologize, signs a 2-year, $1.1 million AAV with the Colorado Avalanche. This is an okay move. I think Juulsen will do fine in Colorado. I actually think he'll thrive. But T.S. Michelli signs a 1-year, $2.25 million AAV with the New York Islanders. Michelli still has 20-goal potential. And in the end, I really hope he could do it with the New York Islanders. And they also signed goaltender Vitek Vanacek on a 1-year, $1 million AAV. The Islanders do need a good, solid backup behind Ilya Samsonov of the Islanders, and this is a solid signing. Next up, Trevor Van Riemsdyk signs a 2-year, $4 million AAV with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Van Riemsdyk has always been a solid bottom six defenseman throughout his entire career. And honestly, $4 million feels a little bit much, but in the end, I think Pittsburgh, we'll see what they do because their right side is so crowded right now. Paul Cotter signs a 1-year, $2.15 million AAV with the Vancouver Canucks. Honestly, good signing. 1-year deals, least consequential, so I have nothing wrong with this one. However, I got some questions with this one. The San Jose Sharks have signed Jacob Trouba to a 4-year, $8.25 million AAV with the San Jose Sharks. I get it. The Sharks have a lot of cap space, but signing Trouba for over $8 million? Bit of a question mark. I hope San Jose knows what they're doing because, Trouba, he's okay offensively, was fine defensively, but massive overpay. Vancouver does sign Luke Schenn to a 1-year, $2.25 million AAV. Vancouver obviously needs NHL caliber players, and Schenn should be able to eat up a lot of minutes on that blue line. Next up, the Toronto Maple Leafs have swept the Sergei Bobrovsky sweepstakes. He signs a 3-year, $7 million AAV with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Honestly, Bobrovsky has been a good goaltender for the past decade in his entire career, but last season was obviously the worst. So, kind of an overpay. We'll see how he does, but I think Bobrovsky should do fine in Toronto. Next up, Mason Marchman's going to get a nice payday. 5 years, $6.75 million AAV with the San Jose Sharks. I actually like this. I think Marchman could still throw in the body, chirping offensively, and at the same time, if anybody goes after Malcolm Celebrini, they will have to deal with Mason Marchman. So I actually don't mind this move from the Sharks' standpoint of view. The Toronto Maple Leafs also made a couple more signings. They signed Teddy Bluger to a 2-year, $2.5 million AAV. Bluger's always been a solid forward, whether he played in the top 6 or top 9 or even bottom 6. I like this signing a lot for Toronto. Colton Sisson signs a 2-year, $4.25 million AAV with the Toronto Maple Leafs. And honestly, this is fine. Fine contract. Sissons is a solid player overall, so I think this will work. I think he'll do good. Alex Kerfoot will sign a 2-year, $3.5 million AAV with the Nashville Predators. Good signing. Good solid bottom top 9 penalty killer. I think he'll be a really good forward. He'll do really well in Nashville system. All right. New York Rangers have signed Oliver Bjorkstrand to a 1-year, $4.5 million AAV. I like this a lot for the Rangers. I think they're going to bank in on Bjorkstrand, and if he does well, they can always trade him at the trade deadline. And I think Bjorkstrand should do well in the Rangers system. Andrei Kuzmenko signs a 1-year, $5 million AAV with the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is a proven contract. Kuzmenko has shown potential to be a really good player, and I like this from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Justin Hall signs a 1-year, $900,000 AAV contract with the Washington Capitals. Justin Hall, his tenure in Detroit did not work out at all. So this is going to be a little new change, new scenery, and I hope he can do well with the Washington Capitals. Vincent Desharnais will sign a 4-year, $4.2 million AAV with the Washington Capitals as well. Honestly, crazy contract. The Capitals are going to be an interesting team to watch next season and see what other moves they make in the offseason. So Desharnais is going to be interesting to see in Washington. Nick Jensen is going to sign a 2-year, $2.25 million AAV with the Anaheim Ducks. For what he has left in the tank, I think this is okay. Jensen's just a bottom 6 guy at this point for the rest of his career. And honestly, Jensen, okay signing by the Ducks, I guess. Nico Daws will sign a 2-year, $1.1 million AAV with the New Jersey Devils. We'll see what the Devils' goaltending looks like because now it's Daws and Jake Allen. Don't know if that's capable for a full 82-game season, but who knows. but hope he proves me wrong. All right, Boone Jenner signs a 4-year, $5.75 million deal with the Washington Capitals. Crazy contract. It's going to be weird not seeing him in a Blue Jackets uniform after all those years, but Capitals did really well. He's a solid offensive player, chirping a bit every now and then, but is also a really good defensive forward. And I like what Washington's doing. They're doing really, really well. Next up, Nick Foligno sticks with Minnesota on a 1-year, $900K AAV. K, another standing for $1,000. Good contract. Foligno, overall, has still been solid throughout his career. So honestly, okay contract. And also brought back Zach Bogosian on a 1-year, $1.25 million AAV. Bogosian also did fine. I really have no complaints on both of those contracts. All right, next up. The Utah Mammoth are going to sign Anders Lee to a 3-year, $5.4 million AAV. Very good contract. Kind of underrated. Anders Lee has been solid throughout his career. Even though, yeah, he had a down year at 42 points, but that should be interesting. All right. I just realized the video is almost at 30 minutes, so we're going to fly through a little bit more. And we're also going to talk about a few big trades that happened as well. Now, speaking of John Carlson, does sign a 2-year, $8.5 million AAV with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Honestly, good signing. Carlson wanted to go back east, gets it done in Tampa Bay, and I think he'll do well in their bottom 6. Frederik Andersen is an Edmonton Oiler on a 1-year, $1 million AAV. Nothing wrong with that. Andersen was a good goalie this season, even during their cup run, and we'll see what version they get. Mario Ferraro signs a 3-year, $4 million AAV with the Winnipeg Jets. Gotta admit, as a Hawks fan, I'm a bit bummed that they missed out on him, but overall, fine contract. Alex Ovechkin is going to stay with the Washington Capitals, and that's a good thing. 1-year, $4.25 million AAV. As a hockey fan, I am not ready for Ovechkin to retire, so I'm happy with it. Washington legend, one of the greatest athletes to ever play in Washington, D.C., so good contract. I have no problem with it. All right, Jacob Dobbs, 3-year, $5.36 million AAV with the Montreal Canadiens. Good signing. Dobbs has done really well since becoming a Canadian, and I think Canadians, they're going to get their players locked up, and they got their core. Jamie Benn is also going to stick around with the Dallas Stars, 1-year, $850K AAV. Jamie Benn has been really solid throughout his career, won the Hart Trophy in 2015. Like Alex Ovechkin, I'm not ready to see Jamie Benn retire just yet, so this is a good one. All right, we do have an offer sheet. We actually have 2 before we get to the 3 trades that I want to talk about. Barrett Hayton received an offer sheet to the New Jersey Devils on a 1-year, $4.775 million AAV. So here's the context. So when you offer sheet, so the Utah Mammoth, the team Hayton played for, has like a week to match the offer, and I can't imagine that they will. And apparently there was a report that there was a deal done, but Utah backed off. So this completely made New Jersey so angry, and he said, you know what? Take this. We're going to offer him an offer sheet. And if Utah does match it, there's a rule that you cannot trade the player for a year. So even if Utah wanted to trade Hayton next season, they can't, assuming if they do match it. So this is going to be interesting. And the next one, holy moly, Leo Carlson got an offer sheet from the Philadelphia Flyers. 5 years, $18 million AAV. Anaheim, man, Leo Carlson, one of the young stars in the NHL. And if Philadelphia matches it, ooh, Anaheim is going to be in so much trouble. All right. Actually, I apologize. One more signing I wanted to talk about. Yeah, one. And then whichever signings don't happen this episode, I'll talk about in the next one. Or that gets done within after it comes up recorded is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, let's just get to it really quick. Jamie Alexiak, 2 years, $5 million AAV with the Vancouver Canucks. Completely okay with this contract. Should eat up a lot of minutes on Vancouver's blue line. I like this signing a lot. Big body, throws the body around, can block shots, and is actually solid offensively, so I'm fine with this one. All right, let's get to the 3 trades that I want to talk about before we end this episode. Darnell Nurse is no longer with the Edmonton Oilers. They trade him to the San Jose Sharks for Zach Sharp and Shakir Mukhamadullin. Apologize if I said it wrong. So Sharp and Mukhamadullin, obviously, he's RFA, or not RFA, I don't believe, but Edmonton does need to sign him. Zach Sharp also, I hope develop well in Edmonton's system. And I'm hoping the Oilers can sign Mukhamadullin because I think he'll do well with them. But Edmonton has freed themselves from the Darnell Nurse cap space. So if you're an Oilers fan, sure, it might be sad to see Darnell Nurse go. But in the end, they freed themselves from the contract. And for the Sharks, another massive overpay. I don't understand this. Then you have a blue line of Nurse and Trouba all on bad contracts. I mean, Darnell Nurse is a good player, but he's not worth the cap he's been getting at $9.25 million. So, in the end, I like this work done by the Edmonton Oilers. Call me crazy, but Stan Bowman W right there, and I rarely say that, especially as a Hawks fan. And while some moves I said W, some moves I don't think he did well. Maybe we'll get to that in a future episode. But for the Sharks, massive overpay, but I think Nurse, hopefully he'll bounce back with the Sharks. Vincent Trocheck has been traded from the Rangers to the Utah Mammoth for Sean Durzi and Cole Baduin. We'll see how he does. Don't know too much about him. Sean Durzi, solid defenseman. He can actually move the puck pretty well and also does block shots. So I'm interested to see how he'll fit in the Rangers system. Now, as for Trocheck, Utah does need another solid forward, like top 6, top 9. And I think Trocheck will be the answer. And I actually like this. Speaking of the Rangers, they've acquired Marcus Pettersson from the Vancouver Canucks for the 2030 first-round pick. I don't understand this, but good job by Vancouver to get the first-round pick by 2030. But we don't know if it's going to be a top 10 or so from now. But for the Rangers' point of view, I don't understand this, especially when you obviously leave a letter to the fans saying that you're going to rebuild, and then boom, you get Marcus Pettersson out of nowhere. I think he'll do fine. I think he's a solid left-handed shot defenseman. Will he do well in New York? I hope so, but I just don't understand their thought process. This concludes episode 269 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. Have a good week, everyone. Stay tuned for episode number 270. Peace.